Bonjour tout le monde. Moi content nous ensemble. Hello everyone. I am happy we are together. Repeat after me, ensemble. One more time, ensemble. Good job. Ensemble means together in Haitian Creole. I was 11 years old when my parents, who were missionaries, moved our family to Haiti. We lived down a dirt road on the ocean and camped out in tents for 3 months before building a home. My friends consisted of Haitian villagers who taught me their native language of Haitian Creole. One of their cultural norms is when you see someone, you say, hello, bonjour. To ignore them is an insult. They also showed me the strength of togetherness. Villagers would gather like good neighbors at the shoreline to help pull in the fishing nets. It took many hands and the strength of togetherness to survive. Years after returning to the U.S., I began to forget the importance of community I experienced while living in a third world country. My wife and I were living in her childhood home near Orlando where she knew the neighbors and I was okay being accepted as just her husband. I traveled a lot, so when I returned home, I was tired and I found myself escaping to the pool in our backyard for some privacy and solitude. I knew I had neighbors living to my left and to my right. And while I knew their first names, other than that, I could care less. Honestly, I confess, I ignored my neighbors. Inviting them over was the last thing on my mind. My lifestyle became one more of isolation. Yet little did I know, change was about to happen. My wife and widowed mother-in-law were out of town on a mother-daughter getaway, and I called to check in and see how things were going. She was crying. I feel like we need to live closer to my mom. Hoping to comfort my wife, I said, maybe we can find a place to rent and try it out for a year. And then a family member told us about a house for sale just minutes from my mother-in-law. I was still reluctant to move, yet we scheduled a tour, and then after the walkthrough, we knew we needed to live there. Here we go. We're moving to Eustis, Florida. Shortly after moving, it hit me. I was not the good neighbor in the neighborhood I just left. Certainly not like anything I experienced while living in Haiti. So I thought to myself, maybe this move to Eustis could give me the opportunity for a fresh start. I made an intentional decision when I saw neighbors during my walks and bike rides around our new neighborhood. I would stop and say hello. After a brief conversation, I would say something like this: my name is Tim, and I live right around the corner. Let me text you my cell number in case you ever need anything. I've never had a neighbor decline. On my phone, I have a contact I share which says Tim and Cheryl DeTellis, our home address, my cell phone number, and my title is neighbor. After I text them my number, I receive their number in return. It's amazing how a simple hello and a short conversation can change things. Being a good neighbor, it starts with me and you. It's a big idea that takes little changes, starting with hello. We received an invitation to attend our first homeowners association meeting, and as the neighbors arrived, you could feel the tension building because they had the local sheriff there to protect the homeowners and the board members from one another. I'll never forget it. There was a lady in the back of the room. She stood up and she began shouting to the board members down front, "Hey, when are you going to paint the fence? The fence at the entrance is a mess. When are you going to paint the fence?" She was determined to get her message across. And then she said something brilliant. "If you don't paint the fence, we'll paint it ourselves." So after the meeting, I began sending text invites to neighbors. Let's meet up at the entrance of our neighborhood and help paint the fence together. Showing up to paint the fence was actually a little awkward at first. There were neighbors saying things like, "Hey, what's he doing here? I'm not sure I like that guy." Until about an hour or so later, after the paint and sweat was rubbing off, we discovered teaming up to paint the fence as good neighbors was the beginnings of establishing a great neighborhood. Just some time together grew our connectedness and concern for one another. However, I admit it, at times I was the skeptic. And I thought that neighbor down the street was weird. But maybe I met that neighbor on their bad day. We've all had bad days. You know that day we would not want anyone to meet us either. It's time we all think again and be a good neighbor. It's a big idea that takes little changes. Imagine with me a world where neighbors loved neighbors. Why? Because there is a war on love. More than ever, hate has become a popular campaign, dividing people and ultimately isolating neighbors. Our communities are becoming places lacking a culture of togetherness. Ensemble, together. We can change this by becoming good neighbors. How? By establishing the mindset of a good neighbor with these 5 pillars for building great neighborhoods. Pillar number 1, connection. Introduce yourself to your neighbors. It simply starts by saying hello. This will break down barriers, and soon these simple connections will lead to new friendships. In my neighborhood, we now reserve the last Tuesday of the month as guys' night out, and men from the community go out for wings, meet up for a card game, or go bowling. Our new connections have led to these new friendships that now make our lives better. Pillar 2, invitation. Invite your neighbors to join you for a meal or something fun. No matter where you live or your socioeconomic background, we all get lonely and hungry. So gather around a table, because the Latin word communitas means the spirit of community, and it's measured by the number of meals shared together. On holidays like Labor Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day, we invite neighbors to meet up at a local restaurant, and dozens of neighbors show up. Pillar number 3, celebration. When it comes to birthdays, anniversaries, or milestone moments in the lives of others, cheer them on. Don't miss out on congratulating them. We even had a neighbor who got a new puppy, and we celebrated the arrival of this cute puppy, River, to our neighborhood. Pillar 4, awareness. Practice awareness and keep your eyes and ears open. Stay attentive to the safety and the security of the people and homes nearby. Awareness helps make our neighborhoods and communities safer and stronger together. We'll have neighbors who will go out of town and they'll say, "I'll be away for a while. Can you keep an eye out on my house?" And the final pillar, number 5, availability. Availability is the highest benefit of good neighbors who truly care and look out for one another. My phone rang, and it was Marlene from next door. She said in a frantic voice, "Tim, are you home?" "Yes, I am." "Good, because I'm out of town, and George needs your help. He was pressure washing. He got something in his eye. It's swelling really bad. His vision is blurry. Can you drive him to urgent care?" Before calling 911, a neighbor was actually calling a neighbor. As good neighbors, we experience how life is better together. Ensemble. I remember not caring about my neighbors. Now, I can't imagine life without them. Where do you live? Are you a good neighbor? It does not have to be complicated, but we do have to be intentional. Connect with others in your neighborhood. Invite them to something. Celebrate them. Stay aware and be available. May where you live be better because of you. Because good neighbors make great neighborhoods. And it starts with me and you. Hi, I'm Tim. Can I text you my number? Thank you.